We are live. Good morning, DCTV. It is August the 18th, 2022. It is 9 a.m. in the AM.
Let's get going. Let's get rolling.
And we
see
got
a few people jumping in.
We got so many good things to talk about today. As you saw in the title, Celsius could be, they're not in more trouble, but there's more developments on the Celsius front, I should say. And then we have Fed minutes that we're going to be talking about, and then the Bed Bath & Beyond saga, which is still going on. I was watching it today. It's been all over the place this morning, so we're going to chat about that a little bit because I feel like it just fits in the shitcoin meme stock type of category. So we're just going to chat about that a little bit as well. But we can't forget our lovely co-hosts, Jane Goodall and Greg.
How you doing, Jane?
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. How we doing? Oh, Scott Blockchain. Good to see you, buddy. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good seeing you. Welcome aboard.
So the financials this morning are interesting. We got some job numbers that came out and reported, and the markets are actually back up. Yesterday they kind of fell flat, barely in the red. The S&P's up about 0.1%. No big deal there. The Dow's up 22 points. NASDAQ is up 19. So everything's just kind of quiet for the most part this morning. I did see that Bitcoin was up slightly, it looked like, and now has actually started to turn red. So it's down 139 points, sitting at 23,551. How's everybody else doing this morning, by the way?
Outstanding. And it's 139 Satoshis coming down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm so used to saying points.
Satoshi. What's a
No,
Satoshi, Jaime?
It's the
What is-
smallest
what is it?
fraction. So it's like a penny and a dollar. The Satoshi is the smallest fraction of
So like
Bitcoin.
$1 of Bitcoin is a Satoshi.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Okay.
a fraction.
You know, they missed an opportunity just to call it bits. I get why it's called Satoshi,
It's very awfully long.
but why
Don't they
would you
say
not
that?
call it bits?
Can't you
Yeah.
just shorten that to something?
Yeah.
I mean, if mass adoption is the goal, bits is what you call it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in traditional finance, there's fractions of a percent when they just call it bips.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So like the Fed's raising interest rates 75 bips, which is actually 0.75%. Yeah, we have to call it Satoshi. What is that? Three syllables?
Maybe we could do like a standard and metric version of Bitcoin. And one side is Satoshis and the other side is bits. And they're close, but not really.
Or bytes?
That conversion you're talking about, Tampa, is what caused a few of our explorers to hit Mars. They forgot to convert, and then it hit the planet at full speed.
No
So,
shit.
yeah, we do have to be careful with these conversions.
I
Measure twice, cut once. Okay.
Measure it in metrics or feet.
That's crazy. Okay, speaking of abbreviations, have any of you guys heard of what meeting minutes are? I'm sure you have.
Of course.
Yes, we see them daily.
Yeah. So the Fed had their own meetings, and the meeting minutes that came out of that meeting basically implies, and we actually had this conversation earlier, Tamp, this week about whether or not the Fed was going to raise rates at the same pace or not. I thought that they could actually pull this back a little bit, but it seems as if consensus is that they're going to raise rates in September another 75 basis points. And what we have seen from this is that higher interest rates from the Fed has actually brought Bitcoin down. Anytime they talk about this or they hint around to it, Bitcoin seems to be impacted by this. Because at least from what I've seen, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just my own observation from what I've seen, is that whenever there's chance of deflation happening, Bitcoin actually sells off. And so we saw inflation taking place over the last, during 21 and quantitative easing taking place then. That's kind of where we saw the peak. Once the Fed started talking about raising interest rates, that's when Bitcoin actually ended up turning around. This is just my own theory. This is me just kind of observing. So I'm not speaking this into fact, but it seems as if that seems to be the case. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So it's been on a rising channel since June, more or less,
Of this year.
of this year.
Yeah.
Yes. So you do see And you saw a rally actually, in the traditional markets when this hike was announced. It was almost priced in.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin's doing what it's going to do towards the future, is the way I see it. And at some point, once inflation really, the world wakes up to it, and they fully understand deflation, Bitcoin's deflationary structure, then at that point, I think that's where, and the fact that BlackRock now is looking at Bitcoin during this time, it's supposed to be doing the opposite, or its purpose kind of tells you where things are going overall. So at this moment, and we'll get into the details down on where I think Bitcoin is going, probabilities.
Jaime, spoken like a true trader. That's what he does. I think right now for the general population, this is purely just fear, right? Bitcoin, although we understand is deflationary, and as interest rates rise and traditional markets go south, Bitcoin for us should go north. But this is where I think people who just don't understand Bitcoin and crypto, think it's a scam, whatever, just a misunderstanding, get scared and pull their money out. This is where things like, I think, regulation actually helps Bitcoin. Once we get regulated, it stabilizes price-wise. I think people will start understanding it is a hedge to inflation or negative market downturns. I think we'll see it go up once once regulations come in. So it's a positive of regulation on that front.
So it kind of supports what I was saying as far as, when interest rates go up, or at least are being talked about going up, that's when Bitcoin usually ends up doing poorly, and then easing happens, and then Bitcoin ends up starting to go back up.
Yeah, it's still seen as a risk on asset.
Right.
And I think that's what drives today's movements.
Yeah.
Until adoption occurs, then I see where it's going to change. And by the way, Scott Block actually gave us the short version of the Satoshis. It's actually called Sats.
Yes.
So thank you, Scott.
Good job, Scott. Hey, you know what? Not to get off topic, but I do just a side swing on this. I wonder too, with inflation, we talk about those numbers being released. I know they were just released in the EU, and what they came back at, what was it, 8.5?
Yeah, it was pretty high.
Okay. What's crazy is every time I go out to eat, I ask waiters and waitresses or owners, sometimes owners come out and we talk, what numbers are you seeing? And it's always a number between 20 and 25% rise in cost of food, labor costs. We all know, dishwashers getting paid $18, $20 an hour now. It used to be, $10 an hour. You can find a dishwasher all day long. Now it's 18 plus, real high rises in food. There's servers, one or two for the entire restaurant. Service is taking a hit. So I find it funny that 8.5 is the number, when everywhere you look with businesses, that small business that keeps cities and economies afloat, it's much, much higher than that.
And even at the
how much has your groceries went up?
Yes.
There you go.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
So I just find it comical that 8.5 is supposed to be good, acceptable, whatever you call it. But in reality, it's
not acceptable.
It's not okay.
Right.
So
8.5 is not right.
No, well, and the EU is actually also trying to bring that down too. I think when you look at the 8.5%, it combines a lot of things, commodities being one of them. Obviously, food is in there as well, but some of that stuff has come down, like lumber, copper. Some of the other commodities have come down a ton, and so that kind of offsets a little bit of the other stuff that's actually gone up, and so that's why we get that number. Food obviously being super expensive right now. We are seeing some of that inflation come down. Gas is back down below $4 nationally, so there are some things that are starting to actually move to the downside. And so while inflation is still very high, especially compared to last year, it is seemingly looking like we might have seen a peak back in July.
Time will tell for sure.
Yeah. All right. So next topic of discussion is Bed Bath & Beyond. We're talking about it again this morning because news came out about this last night. So if you guys aren't familiar with Ryan Cohen, he is the chair of GameStop, and he also owns a literal fuck ton of Bed Bath & Beyond for some reason. A failing business. This is how much he owns. He's actually an activist investor. So I think the idea was maybe to perhaps either take this over or buy a bunch of it to get them moving on the actual business to see, okay, are we done with this or are we not? And so he actually put out a filing according to a form 144 filed with the Security and Exchange Commission. RC Ventures, which is his company, intends to sell 9.45 million shares of the company, which the total amount it holds in Bed Bath & Beyond, I believe it's somewhere around a 10% stake, 9.8, something like that. So there's been a lot of controversy around this. I put out a short video about how he had sold it, and I got ripped on my YouTube at Own the Chaos, so I actually ended up having to take it down. And one of the big reasons, actually, though, too, was that all the mainstream media companies, and I cross-reference everything before I make these types of posts, was talking about how he was selling it. So I just put out a video that he was selling it. There is no confirmation as to whether or not Ryan Cohen sold it, but the damage has already been done. And we talked about this, Tamp, after Greg and Jaime left, that Bed Bath & Beyond was going to be super risky buying into it. As of this morning, there still has been no confirmation as to whether or not Ryan Cohen has sold that 10% stake. But as I had mentioned, the damage has been done. The stock is now down 20% here before the market is about to open. This is craziness, but this is exactly how I expected things to turn out. I mean, the stock, again, like I had said, is down 20% here in pre-market after being up 30% on Tuesday, and then up another 11% is what it closed at yesterday, and now we're seeing this sell off. This is just exactly what we were talking about yesterday, understanding what type of stock this actually is, and it kind of bleeds into some of the shit coins that we talk about too, that like just go absolutely crazy. It's like at some point you have to take your money and run, and when are you going to learn your lesson? We saw this with GameStop, we saw this with AMC, and now we're seeing it with Bed Bath & Beyond. It's like, if you were up on this and you didn't take your money and you got crushed yet again, that shit's on you, man.
Absolutely. What shitcoin was this again?
Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? Certainly acting like one.
Yeah, and that's FOMO is a killer, fear of missing out, and this is what transpires when you have. I mean, the activism you can't question, or you can question it, or you kind of, it makes you wonder what is the ultimate goal, because if so many people that are not familiar with the Bed Bath & Beyond, I mean, they see it, but then they see astronomical growth to it all of a sudden, it makes you wonder where. You have to be extremely careful with this. It's a flash in the pan. So yesterday was really pumping quite well, and we were speaking of, hey guys, this will retrace, this will come down. Who knows if it'll take another leg up at this moment, but if you do dabble in this, please take profit early if you're risking your value in this way.
Yeah, I love being able to listen to Brad and Jaime's trader brain on why they would or would not enter a stock, take profits, what have you, because I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I am not a trader at all. I dollar cost average and I invest. It's what I do. And we talked yesterday about before you FOMO or get emotional and just want to throw money into something, be it Bitcoin or Bed Bath & Beyond stock, whatever. One of the do your own research, due diligence you should do is read the white paper of a certain coin. So that's what I'm big on. And on this, if you're looking at me from a non-trader perspective, I'm looking at Bed Bath & Beyond. How do retail stores like this make it in today's markets with your likes of Amazon, online ordering, Alibaba, curbside pickup at places like Target, Walmart, all these big box stores. It's hard for me as a retail store owner to, if I was put in the CEO's chair of Bed Bath & Beyond, I don't know how you make it in retail.
Well, and they haven't been making it. They haven't been
exactly.
Making it. And that's
right.
a big problem.
And that's, you're looking at it from a trader standpoint. I'm looking at it just from an investor, and I don't have Bed Bath & Beyond white paper, but what I do have is a consumer's brain where I'm looking at this and saying, okay, do I want to invest in a company where if I was sitting at the decision-making chair, I have no idea how I would increase sales in an online economy like we have today.
Go find yourself a Bed Bath and Beyond and see if you can actually see where there's cars in the parking lot. You won't find one.
Right.
It's
Try
hard,
to
man.
help in the store on top of that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what's going on here. The real reason why this has been moving up and why it's moved up 400% over the last few weeks is because of the Wall Street Bets movement. And there's still this this crazy, I don't know what the right term for it is. The movement in which retail traders think they can actually stick it to the man.
Yes.
And ultimately they just can't. Like it's just not going to be something that you can actually do. Institutions are going to have more money than you will ever have to leverage, and at the end of the day, the institutions are going to be the ones that actually rule the roost here. And they want to short the fuck out of Bed Bath and Beyond. They're going to do it, and they don't care who they hurt on the way down.
Absolutely. And yeah, the risk here, and that's where we have to stay always watching, is okay, the ones who organized this, the ones who made it happen, this 400% or this run up, usually they're already priced in, they're already in there, so all they're doing is taking profit on the way up.
Yeah.
The problem is when someone who's not familiar with these facts or isn't using their consumer thinking starts seeing these numbers, oh, something's going on with them, I got to jump in. And that's where the research comes in, as Champ says, is remove the moment you have emotion or the moment you want to pull out because you feel there's time against you. Slow down. Don't do it. If you understand why it's happening, then you can approach it. And same thing with shit coins and Bitcoin and everything else. Anything you invest in, do your research always.
The part that blows my mind, and it looks like, Greg, you were going to say something, so I'll let you speak in a sec.
Go ahead first.
The part that blows my mind is that these retail traders were trying to save AMC because they thought that institutions were killing the company, killing the business, and not actually looking at, no, this is just a poorly run company. And same thing with Bed Bath and Beyond. And anybody who's watching this who is an ape or whatever probably are going to call us shills for even saying stuff like this, but it's just the truth. Bed Bath and Beyond, some of these companies just deserve to go bankrupt because of the way that they've been run. And Bed Bath and Beyond is one of those where it's been poorly run, which is why Ryan Cohen was actually buying up a shit ton of the company as an activist investor. So to me, I think that this is one of those situations in which he put out a sell order because I'm sure he didn't realize this was going to go up 400% in a matter of a couple of weeks. So he's going to get the hell out. And at the end of the day, I think that Bed Bath & Beyond does end up going bankrupt sooner rather than later. And it deserves to be. It deserves to be because they didn't run their company well.
And we apply those principles to shitcoins also.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see a lot of hurrah, hoopla, and everything during bull runs. But in the bear markets as we are in today, that's when you really see they should bear fruits.
Yeah.
So do your research.
It's like Doge, right? I mean, people love Dogecoin, and at the beginning of all this, it was a joke, right? Because it's just constantly diluting. It was hilarious. Right. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we got to save Doge because let's just buy the hell out of it. And it's just like, what are you guys doing?
Changing the narrative, which could be a great thing.
Right.
Changing the narrative can be cool. I mean,
I guess.
See, I hope I'm proven wrong about Doge. I really do. Yeah. I really do.
Greg?
I just agreed with you 100%. You touched on everything I was going to say. The only other thing I was going to add was, don't want to see a company go out of business and people lose jobs, right? That's the downside, but not all companies are going to make it. And it just reinforces the need for strong leadership at the top that is adept in what field of business the company is, right? Just because somebody was smart on an IT company doesn't mean they're going to understand retail and et cetera, right? And you got to have the right people in the right spot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we always talk about how the government comes in and bails out certain companies, and maybe the government shouldn't have done that, right? I mean, the airlines, for example, how many times have the airlines been bailed out, or automotive companies? And while it may have hurt a lot of jobs and the economy overall temporarily, some of those companies could have come out better for it, or new companies could have generated and been better than the old ones. And I think that there's always a reason why certain companies fail, and it could be and really saving them at the end of the day just allows them to continue to do exactly what they've been doing, which is a shitty job.
And it kind of reminds me as a dad, like if you allow a child to do wrong and you enable them by saving them, that's literally, they just continue doing the same thing with the company.
Yeah.
So in this case, these large organizations that were saved, if they would have gotten punished by their own demise, we'd see cleaner outcomes, or at least all the chaff moved out of the way.
Yeah, look
It's
at
like
AMC.
it's like they don't have any skin in the game.
Yes.
I mean, look at
Golden
AMC, right?
parachutes.
Like AMC kind of got saved by retail.
Mhm.
And what did Adam Aaron do? Let's crank up the popcorn memberships. Let's go buy a gold mining company. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? with you know, like it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But anyways, rant over on that. It just you know, looking at this, that's now down 18%. And look, Bed Bath & Beyond, 42% short interest. So this has all the capabilities of going up and short squeezing again. So I'm not saying that it's going down to zero today, tomorrow, or next week. It can still go higher, but the risk is certainly there.
Yeah, it'll pump again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost manipulation in its finest, where we announce the CEO is going to sell, the stock drops considerably. There will be a ton of people who buy it up cheap, so to speak. And some new person will come in, shill it, because that's what meme stocks do now. It'll rise up and people will make money on it. We'll continue to say that on this channel, is you can make money on coins like these, but just be very careful. Understand the dynamics are very inorganic, and you have to be able to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do not give financial advice, guys. This is edutainment, education.
Just what you can do.
Yeah.
Think, please think.
Absolutely.
Just things you can do. Other people have done them. You know,
If you
not
want to play
saying
in that
you should.
space, sorry. If
Go
you want to
ahead.
play in that space, that's fine, right? But
Mhm.
be prepared to lose too. Don't be
Mhm.
crying over spilled milk later on down the road when you made
Right.
a mistake, right? Learn from it and play again if you want.
Right.
Come back and watch DCTV, and you'll be a lot better.
go buy some Bed Bath & Beyond or go to the casino. Your choice. All right. Next order of business we got is Celsius. You guys saw the title there. Celsius gets a court blessing to sell their mined Bitcoin. If you guys aren't familiar with Celsius, they are a mining company that had a shit ton of miners. 80,850 Bitcoin mining rigs. Now only half of them are in operation. The company's going bankrupt, and the courts are now allowing them to sell their Bitcoin, which is interesting. We're starting to see this all over the place, right? We just saw, and I can't remember off the top of my head, we talked about it just before we went live here about whatever company in Atlanta, I guess, that got bought out, and we're seeing more consolidation happen. Celsius, though, was a huge company that also kind of is biting the bullet, so to speak, right now. And so their cash burn is quite significant. It looks as if they got permission to sell 5.2 million on construction and all imports related to the business as well. And so that's kind of your latest update on the Celsius saga. But I think that this is kind of, to me, looks as if this isn't the last domino to fall.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you on that one. And Celsius, literally, I mean, they've been around for a while. They got into the interest paying, where trying to bring in consumers and retail to stake their fiat, convert it into a stable coin, and then earn from it interest out of it, which was paying higher yields than your traditional CDs.
Sure.
That's their business model. On top of that, they had these miners, these rigs that they're deploying with this permission to spend, to focus on mining. It's a risk on their side because of where Bitcoin is at the moment and the timing that the courts are going to request for the funding, the investors, everyone that's at risk at this moment. When will they get paid? What happens if Bitcoin takes another leg down?
Right.
What will happen? So that's a lot of the inside. Anyone in this industry must know where Bitcoin has been, where it's going, which is very hard to tell, but you can kind of see the weather patterns coming.
Was there nobody at Celsius that saw that coming?
Well,
there was an event, Black Swan event, that kind of triggered all this in Tampa.
and I want to segue it to hear Greg's response, because there are reports that at Celsius, for those that don't know, it is a cryptocurrency lending program. They custody how many billions of dollars worth of people's money, where you put your cryptocurrency into their protocol. They will lend you money with your cryptocurrency as a backing, and they got over leveraged. There are reports from people inside of Celsius who claim that when the market took a downturn, the CEO of Celsius stepped in and took over all of trading and essentially just made the problem way worse. I don't know if he was freaking out, if he thought he was a better trader than his trading team that is hired to do that. But reportedly, he went in, started trading, and the company went all the way bankrupt. Now, maybe that he contributed to that. Maybe the market downturn was just too much to overcome. But now, in what seems like a scramble, the CEO has made the decision to start mining Bitcoin because he traded Celsius into oblivion. So we at Metafy, we mine Bitcoin, right? But Greg, especially, I want to hear, why do we mine at Metafy? Why is us mining the way we have chosen to mine, and for the length of time we have been mining Bitcoin, why might our reasons be different than somebody at Celsius who might be just trying to grab at straws, try to pull his company out of a black hole? Why would he do that, do you think?
I'm not sure. For us, we're mining as the linchpin of our company, right? That's the most basic foundation of the company is mining, and that's going to allow us to do everything else. If you get too far away from that, I want to know why they have 80,000 rigs, but only 40,000 are in operation. Did they lose space? Did they shut operations down? Did they not pay their power bill? Could be any number of factors, but where are those other 40,000 machines sitting at, right?
Yeah. And do you think it's possible
and are they
that
for
you
sale?
can?
Yeah.
Right.
And are they and what's the deal on them, right?
Right.
Yes.
Do you think it's possible that you can mine your way out of bankruptcy, out of a $1.6 billion hole? Is that even possible?
Not without additional investment, not with where Bitcoin price is today. I would say no, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if you had some money to float your operations for a little while and really dig down deep on your mining and hodl, and then sell when Bitcoin goes back up on this next bull run, then heck yeah, but you've got to have the operational cash in front of you, and they don't have it, right? If they're not able to mine enough coin to actually put any value in the company, even if they sell, if they're not mining more each month than what their costs are, then it makes no sense. It's all you're doing is just putting a little bit of Band-Aid on a severed arm at this point in time, right? The mining has to generate more than their operating costs so that they're still adding value to the company at the end of the day. And cool, only sell what it is to each month to keep your company going, but you're mining more than that. You're still adding value, and you're able to take care of all of your debts, right? If you don't do that, then what's the point, right? Other than, hey, look, we're still lasting another month or two. And maybe that's what the play is. Maybe it's let's sell as much as we can to get some more interest, and maybe we get some more money, get through this, and then we can, shoot to the moon again. But I don't know. I just think it's prolonging the inevitable.
It's like adding an IV to somebody who's arterial bleeding. It might help a tiny bit, and it looks good, but not good. But why do we mine at Metafy, Jaime? I mean, we started with mining. Is there a difference between starting a company with mining in mind versus trying to scramble and save a company with mining? Why do we do it then?
The key here is timing. Literally trying to grab Bitcoin mining, which is a profitable if you time it well and do not overexpose yourself or go over leverage yourself. It is a pretty profitable venture. The key here is what's occurring with Celsius is the fact that they're trying to sell Bitcoin in the current price conditions
Yeah.
and try to put infrastructure, which Greg dead on, has to be runway to mine the Bitcoin also. They have to get the infrastructure to deploy their miners. So there's a lot more money that has to come in first before they can reap the fruits of the mining. And this is where the judge, you can see he's like, I'm not sure about this. It's a business decision you guys have made, but we'll see where it goes. And from our experience, they're going to have a very hard time. As a matter of fact, in the article, it spoke of their debt just doubled.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah, how do you lose 1.6 billion in your balance sheet?
well, yeah,
over-
they initially
Right.
disclosed $1.2 billion in the balance sheet. The firm has now said its deficits is doubled that to 2.8 billion, and negative cash flow of nearly $34 million for the quarter. So I just don't know how they even get out of the hole that they've dug themselves. That seems to be something that's insurmountable
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, I'm just interested
For
in the
sure.
differences, starting with mining and we mine, and we do a great job at Medify. Why wouldn't that work for everybody? Maybe what are we looking at, that's different? So it's interesting. Unless they have a whole bunch of free energy, I don't see how mining will dig you out of a hole like that. Mining is very strategic.
yes.
Very
And
strategic.
on Peter's point on the strategy, this is where Medify is currently. We are looking to leverage this market downturn to acquire more miners, to acquire infrastructure, to acquire a lot of people in the panic sell that's occurring, including Celsius. We may even acquire their miners out of this whole disaster, and their loss turns out to be our benefit and our community's benefit.
Yeah.
So
if anybody knows some miners, let us know. Hit us up in the chat. Hit us up on our website. Let us know. We'll take them.
We're in the market.
absolutely.
Always.
And this is the time to build, guys. This
Yeah.
is the time to build.
It-
A
It's
few
crazy that's what Greg was just saying. If Celsius has 80,000 miners, why are you only using half of them if this is your get out of jail card? If mining is what's going to save you, why are half of them down? Interesting decisions.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I mean, and they couldn't even leverage those to sell to even make up for just the cash flow that they've lost for one quarter.
Mhm.
That's the crazy part. I mean,
Yeah.
34 million in losses for the quarter is just mind blowing.
And it's because they attached everything. One, the event that occurred with all the stable coins. So that wiped them out.
Yeah.
That literally
That was the
the
linchpin.
unwind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that strategy, they should have used Bitcoin and have been mining it to create their war chest in economic downturn, or Bitcoin downturns.
Yeah.
Clearly it wasn't. Now they're trying to tell the judge, give us time, we can do this. But I don't know if the investors are going to give them that opportunity.
Yeah. So I feel like we've kind of already touched on it, but just to clarify, the lesson that we can take away from this is, at least in my mind, and it's so funny because we tell retail traders and retail all of the time, sell high and buy low. And it seems as if Celsius did the exact opposite.
Absolutely.
Just in the concept of mining, right? They went and bought a shit ton of them way at the top, while we're kind of doing the exact opposite.
And we're seeing a lot of the mining facilities trying to get out of contracts they signed on the Bitcoin's way up at 35, 42, 52, $65,000. They were paying ASIC prices at those levels, which were around 10,000 to 15,000, depending on the model you were buying. Today, the same ASICs or miners, you can get them anywhere between 2,200 is what we've been offered, up to $3,900.
That's unbelievable.
So there's a huge price difference.
Yeah.
And they're trying
with
to get
warranties at that.
Absolutely.
With warranties.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
I wanted to see if I could jump into this.
Absolutely.
Is there any missing?
No, go ahead.
So let me segue into where we're at on Bitcoin overall, just so you can see where Celsius is. I know it doesn't look too good at this moment. So community members and DCTV viewers, I will do a long form, and it'll be very sharp, and we will release it on the Metafy channel for your pleasure in viewing. But this is the overall Bitcoin chart ever since inception. And what you see here, let me move it here. This is where we're going, is the Bitcoin price usually will rally right after halving. So at this date back in the last halving, got to move ourselves, but at the last halving in 2016, we saw the next bull run occur. And it's been happening ever since inception. We saw the market top around 2017, which a few of us and quite a few pubbers and decentralized TV viewers were around. We saw the top. These gray lines are the median of the price points. But you'll see it's always followed by a period of bear downturn, a bear market. Then you're in the discovery phase until the next halving, which occurred in April of 2020. And we saw the market price almost start rising before then, during this discovery period. We did a double top recently, and we've been in a bear market technically since the drop. But it's following these time periods of market conditions. And we're seeing all these meltdowns of companies and crypto companies that over-leveraged themselves or timed it wrong. They should be building at this time, not getting into debt or leveraging themselves or getting securing loans.
They're liquidating.
Yeah. They're now liquidating. But if you notice, the timing is beautiful. We are in a bear market, and we should see somewhat of a bottom somewhere around November, December time period. We're reaching back up to the median line. And if we move over to the monthly view, this is what I wanted to show yesterday when I asked if we could mark the top, or 2 streams ago. This is the top candle-wise, not the wick, but the body, open and closed at around 13,888. We came down, we did not close below, we're above with the first candle up here. But this is the marker I want you guys to see. The true support, the true floor we can test will be around the 13,800 level. We also have the 89 month moving average coming to that point to meet it. Now let's look at the contrast of this. Now I'm down to the 3-day Bitcoin price. And you can see it's almost the weekly, following the weekly price overall. You'll see that we had 13,800 as the support, resistance, and then finally it broke through. Let me zoom into this. This is what we're watching currently as an organization also. We saw this price level, the 28,300 level, tested as support.
Yep.
Multiple times until we broke through down here. And I won't get too technical, but we're in a rising pattern, which is usually a bear flag. And we're looking at the top. We have the 50 moving average coming down to meet this ceiling we have to break through. We're looking at probabilities here, not what is going to happen. If we break through above and then test as support, you can count on continued growth. But if we do not break through, instead we bounce off of it and come down, the next true support level after this is that floor that we met on the monthly chart back in 2017. So it's pretty much open space up until this point. So this is what we're watching in terms of Bitcoin's movements overall. The moment we break below here and then test this as resistance, meaning we cannot break above it, I expect our price to come down to these 2017 levels. if we may see a run up, swing failure pattern, which is what it's known, where it'll try to break through, fail, and then just take the dump. So it could be two scenarios here on the way back down. Of course, we're watching this. We're not taking any trades on it at the moment until we see clarification on where this is going.
Got it.
So that's now looking at the building of the facility and what we're building out. We're building in exactly the right time period, which is the bear market period, without over leveraging ourselves. And that's why we're looking to buy miners. We're looking to develop the ecosystem for crypto adoption. So this is where we're at. And if you notice, even on the discovery phase up to the next halving in 2024, it is an upwards trend. So even if we're going sideways, we should see growth in that direction.
The risk reward certainly becomes really, really good at those levels, regardless.
Absolutely. So I don't know if there's any questions, Tam, Greg, or the community that you would like to see answered. I'm open to your questions.
Yeah. And again, I'm sure all the traders love this, understand it. I will not claim to be a trader. I can halfway read a certain chart, but anybody can make a chart that looks like a 4-year-old took to an Etch-a-Sketch and just had a good day. But from what I'm understanding, right, especially if you go back to your chart that had the red and green and gray vertical bars, this one, if I understand it right, the green vertical bar, the red vertical bar next to it, so those represent Bitcoin is down and then comes up at every halving, correct? When Bitcoin halves
Yes.
every 4 years. So those are 4-year basically vertical bars that we're looking at. So if I understand right, especially talking about mining, if you are balance sheet neutral or have even raised some money up until today that you are ready to deploy on something in this current bear market, if that thing you want to do is mining, then you are doing it right as far as timing goes. You have the money, you have the capital, you have the plan, and you want to mine right now. Versus us being in a bear market now, if you are trying to dig out of a hole a la Celsius, you are doing this backwards. Is that correct? As far as the
One
chart
north.
that I'm looking at with you
Absolutely.
and Celsius that we were talking about. So
There's
lesson
one
here
north.
is don't get out of debt right now. Learn to build and raise money to build right now.
Absolutely. And
Excellent.
Just for clarification, between halving is 4 years. So each vertical is not 4 years. Just that. But yes, the principle
between
is
the halvings. Gotcha.
you build during the bear markets, then you reap the rewards in the bull markets.
Excellent.
Or I forget who's the one who coined this, but it's bull markets generate bullshit and bear markets bear fruits.
Yeah.
And this is the time. The bullshitters are the ones paying for this, or the ones that did not plan.
Celsius.
He said it. Mom, he's not no. So yes, this is the time to do it. And I will do long form on this. I will go into full detail. So any analysts out there, and I'm totally open, please, to all this feedback.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yep.
Love it.
We can.
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Thank you,
agreeing.
Greg.
Yeah. Great stuff.
He is a direct communicator, ladies and gentlemen.
And by the way, everyone, Greg is the guy actually executing the build out.
Hands on.
Hands on.
Our miner.
And the team that
It's all the team. It's all the team.
that spoken like a true leader, guys. Spoken like a true leader. And it is true though.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's the group of people that come together.
Except for me, I don't know shit about mining.
But
You're
you
about
are
to.
our market. Yeah. You know all about this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I'm actually looking forward to getting in the weeds there and learn how to do it myself.
Yes.
Peter, what can we say about the movement of Bitcoin to traditional markets? We discussed that, my man. We talked about it. We talked about how it should be a
we can do as a recap. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should
yes,
be a
but-
perfect hedge.
But one point, Australia is releasing another ETF.
Australia?
Yes.
Oh,
For Bitcoin. Here's one thing on the traditional markets that I'm concerned the US is not leading when they should be leading.
I know.
It's the ETF aspect of it. And so many organizations like Grayscale, Coin, like so many others are proposing, but they get that pushback from SEC and
It's all the blue hairs.
Yep.
yes, absolutely.
Politics, baby.
Yes.
Politics. You got to
But
play
we're
with it.
losing our edge.
Yes.
Okay, as everyone knows, I was born abroad. I was born in Latin America, and we always looked at American products, American industry as I want to buy American products. Anything else is not worth it. Well, we've exported all that, not just the manufacturing, but a lot of the talent has to go with it.
Right.
So we're seeing the same thing with Bitcoin adoption. It's almost they're putting the brakes, all the blue hairs putting the brakes on this new technology that the world is diving into full heartedly. And a lot of developers are jumping into this. Microsoft, all the big ones. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan said it.
Jamie Dimon.
It was not good. And yet they have
Turns right back
investments
around
in that industry. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or even
I'm waiting for Warren to come out and be like, you know what, I was wrong.
well, that's what happened with the internet. Remember, he would not touch it because he doesn't understand. That's why he's such a wise investor. Also, is like he invests in what he understands.
Yeah.
Later, he got into the other, even data centers. We were Greg and I saw his organization looking at data centers to expand, so and invest in. So this is what we need: is the great blue hairs or gray hairs. Speak of the devil. To understand what this industry brings to the entire system, global system.
Right.
Everything's affected by it.
Yeah.
Logistics, supply chain, finance, security, everything's tied to this new industry. So we're the ones building that ecosystem and leading the way. So on the next bull run, Medify and decentralized CV, our entire community already understands.
Yeah.
Now we will be able to help the blue hairs understand, dude, this is what the technology really does. Just because there's bad actors, like in any industry, there's always bad actors. Come on. And it's said it's a fact. How did we know the internet was reaching maturity or a point of full adoption? Porn.
Yeah.
Once they started with porn and you could pay for the porn remotely without having to drive to the neighborhood red light district, you knew there was adoption. Well, there's a few market conditions that have to be present for that adoption to occur. And we're ahead of that curve in the chasm that Peter speaks about.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're in that time period of all these meltdowns we're seeing and all the hackers and all the attorneys, they're the ones making money at this moment. That's the time period of definition. Just like there was the .com implosion, we are seeing that in the crypto space for now, the true builders of the community to flourish and come up. And we're right there with them. And BlackRock is opening up private trust to their investors for Bitcoin and the blockchain industry, as Peter will.
And Gundy, you are 100% correct.
Yeah. Porn industry pioneers. It's so funny. I actually, on the Chaos, I interviewed an adult entertainer who was on OnlyFans. And if you guys recall all the OnlyFans drama about the major banks and credit card companies that were going to drop OnlyFans because of their adult content, OnlyFans then implemented a ban on adult content for a whole week before everybody was all up in arms. Well, the Allie Ray was the woman that I interviewed. Very intelligent business mind. She's a hustler for sure. Not just another pretty face. She ended up building another platform that only accepts cryptocurrency for to pay for entertainment, which is good on a lot of fronts.
Mhm.
You can buy it anonymously, you can receive it anonymously, and nobody's none the wiser, which, you know, we can get into a bunch of other conversations as far as that's concerned. But the concept's there. To Greg's point and to what Gundy was saying, it's like the porn, and what you were saying too, is just that the porn industry, adult entertainment, it's kind of leading the way this time around too. So yeah, it is interesting to see how it's playing out.
You could test OG crypto, watchers' knowledge on this one. Back in the day, I don't know if Peter remembers, there was a coin called Vertcoin, and it actually, you could trade it pretty well. Vertcoin, they for a week or more talked about an announcement of an announcement. It was the biggest thing coming. You know, you don't want to miss this. Vertcoin starts pumping like crazy. Vertcoin finally gets to announce day. Their announcement, we've partnered with Pornhub. That's what it was. I'm like, all right, in this cycle, this is where we've hit the top right here. But
That
to
was
your
VChain,
point,
wasn't it?
huh?
Was it VChain?
VChain, it was a chain with a V. Vertcoin, VChain. It
I
was
remember
the
that, though.
biggest pump, and that was their huge announcement. Is we have partnered with Pornhub. I'm like, all right, no.
Now, look at it from a human perspective, what we're speaking of. Not that we're supporting porn or whatever. You know, you all do it. Everybody. So don't be hypocrites around here.
Oh, I
You
just
can-
make it.
Yes. Yeah, it's at home, you know. Somehow it gets out there on the internet, you know. It's just terrible. You just gotta monetize the damn thing. But get this though, and all of us have been in this situation. I had a friend reach out to me, hey, how do I buy Bitcoin, etc. And they were looking to cash out from the bank about 5 to 10 grand. And they go to the bank, and for 5 grand, they're like, what are you going to use this for? And he's like, what the hell do you care what I'm going to use? It's my money in your bank. You're securing. Why am I having to tell you what I'm going to use it for? And the teller, kind enough, was like, do you want me to write that down as the official? And so he understood, okay, you're putting yourself at risk by not saying something. He says, I'm buying a boat. But just that mechanism of your assets are not truly yours to do what you want to do with it. That's what another driver to Bitcoin adoption and crypto adoption overall is going to be, the fact that I don't want to answer those questions a lot of times with my own value.
Yeah.
It's Tornado Cash. Why make Tornado Cash in the first place? For that, Gundy even says it's none of your business what I'm buying. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
and Peter says I'm going to do announcements of announcements and announcements, and there's more announcements of announcements summarized. But this is kind of the camp that this is the mindset I take on this whole ETF talk with BlackRock, a couple others. I do believe the writing's on the wall. I do believe we will get there. But I personally am not of the belief that they're right there, that it's going to be happening soon, that they're making an announcement that the ETFs are here. Because you break down some of those articles and you can't find any sort of schedule of launch. You can't find any kind of time frame. They're basically just mentioning the writing on the wall. So it's definitely worth noting. And again, I think until regulation is formal and in place for the cryptocurrency world, you won't see people have an actual time frame on ETFs. They will drop this date. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that ETFs keep getting denied, not because necessarily, like Jaime was talking about, the U.S. wants to fall second in that category. Maybe it's just because the regulations aren't in place for people to feel, the powers that be, to feel the ETF's time has arrived and you can hit the play button. But the writing is on the wall. So again, just something to note. It's part of the research.
Absolutely. And David had the same situation. And in this case, he's depositing cash. So didn't we break away from England because of the tax? I mean, the boot on your neck? I mean,
Yeah.
Guys, come on. It gets to, and it's on us to declare our taxes and do our accounting.
Right.
So why create these questions that imply wrongdoing?
Right.
instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's just a point of view that has to be overcome, and it will be overcome inevitably, especially when Bitcoin now functions as it was designed to do.
Agreed.
2025 is what Peter's calling on ETFs. It's fair. Remember, it's always 2 to 5 years. Everything is 2 to 5 years. But the writing is on the wall. I think it is inevitable for sure. I mean, there's a reason people are talking about it.
Agreed.
DCA, dollar cost
Absolutely.
average, and 2-year Bitcoin. We spoke about it yesterday.
Absolutely. And the strategy of why 2025 is because the halving occurs in 2024, and the top of the next market top, in theory,
Mhm.
should be 2025.
Mhm.
So if you understand, it's like seasons. You know when to plant, it's spring. When you know when to harvest, you know the market works in the same way.
It's also a lot of it's psychology driven. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Warren Buffett, as much as he hates Bitcoin, we're following that mentality of being greedy when others are fearful, and it works every goddamn time. You would think that at some point over the decades that Warren's been doing this, 50 years plus, that somebody would have gotten the memo, and very few people actually do. It is kind of a crazy concept.
Absolutely.
We got to have the new Warren. The new Warren is a guy like Warren that's 20 years old, 25 years old, and that person will be the next Warren Buffett, and his entire portfolio will be some sort of cryptocurrency driven thing.
And
So,
the key here is that Warren was a value investor.
Yeah.
Like he looked for value.
Yeah.
And this is the time where we may see Bitcoin in a value point. So if everybody, if you see Bitcoin come down to 13,800 or
buy
12,000,
it up, baby.
for the
Buy
love of
it
God,
up. Please
do not
buy
sell
it
your
up.
house though. Do not sell your. Do not
No, actually, do just
Hell, I mean, I'm not saying I would, but I understand.
drop the trailer, just sell it, just live on your own.
Get rid of the
yourself a
second
cardboard
car.
box. It's fine.
Yeah,
You'll be
cut
okay.
your rainy day in half, man.
Yes.
Buy
I think I could
sell
live at
old
work.
Tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna see.
Find something. Donate blood. Get a second job. Buy it up,
Sell a
baby.
kidney
We're telling
and
you.
your left ball. Buy some
Or
Bitcoin.
both of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Buy
depending on where.
it
what's
You
up.
the-
already have kids. Why do you need
Yeah,
them?
fuck it.
So and remember this: if and when it takes that dump, you're gonna hear the news that
Oh, yeah.
Bitcoin is dead.
Yeah.
We're done.
Oh, yeah.
Sky's falling.
Sky's falling.
Yeah.
It's been a scam, and you will see a lot of the ones who were investing heavily on the run up go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So you will see a lot of this. We're telling you before it happens so you don't overly panic and wonder, should I buy or should I not?
Yeah.
Of course, dollar cost averaging always wins. If you do it, the ups and downs
Gundy.
don't matter.
Gundy's
Gundy.
rip off Rita over here. Wait.
Hey,
Oh!
bro, put a 1 in front of the
Well
2, Gundy, and that's fair. Put a 1 in front of the 2, and you might hit.
No,
Might.
but I love Gundy's style. Though.
Yeah.
I do have one of those rip ones open.
Hell,
always.
ETH.
Yeah.
Remember when ETH flash crashed to 10 cents and one guy had a buy order in and he got some like thousands of ETH?
Well played, Gundy.
Oh, well done. But
Absolutely.
Guys, excellent show today. I feel like
Yep.
we were a livelier bunch. We're going to continue to improve on this stuff, guys, and we can't thank you enough for allowing us to be a part of your morning. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed today's stream. We certainly would appreciate it, as well as making sure you hit that notification bell, because we're going to be back here right again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time for an hour of your enjoyment to talk all things crypto and traditional finance. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Greg, where can they find you?
www.themetify.co.
There we go. Okay. Sam, where can they find you at?
WacoCBD.com. And if you like the attire behind me, Primavera collection, legit.
Boom. And where can they find you, Jaime?
Ooh,
At
ooh.
descentralizado.tv. For my Latinos out there, let's go.
Guys, thanks so much. You can find me at Own the Chaos. I'll be live again to cover traditional markets and what's going on at the market close at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time over at Own the Chaos. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
Holla.
Bye.
Bye.